Good afternoon, Jim 12's here on the 31st of July 2023, and it's a long time since I've made a video, so I want to make up for it, and I'm here today on what must be a glorious winter's day. I've actually worn shorts today, the first time this coming spring, and I'm thinking today is the equivalent of the 31st of January in the Northern Hemisphere, and that would be pretty cold. And here we are in the sun. I must be in the upper 20s or 30s, low 30s I would think. In the shade is probably low 20s. Amazing day. Anyway, I'm off the Great North Walk near Cherrybrook, my local woods, as the Northern Hemisphere people would describe this place. So today's video, I've called it Free Will. I don't think we hear much about that phrase, free will. Some of us might talk about it, but I don't think we actually hear much in the mainstream media about free will. So just some thoughts on what is free will. Is it the ability to do what we want for as long as we want, wherever we want, as long as we can get away with it? If that's what it is, I certainly don't want it. But I believe that it is the definition for some people, and that makes life very difficult for those living around them who don't share that philosophy and have to suffer the consequences of other people's free will. Is it a freedom to do what we like, but always with the good of others first in our mind? Taking personal responsibility for our own actions. I rather like that one better. I certainly resist with my core not being able to do as I please, and so the restrictions of lockdown of a few years ago really targeted me, and I reacted badly, I guess, to that. My second point, is free will free from controls, restrictions, boundaries, if you will? And think of a child, think of children today. I think that it's quite appropriate and proper for parents to control their children. Their children. They don't know, they haven't had the experience that touching a hot oven burns their fingers. And I don't think we should actually let them do it intentionally so that they can learn from their mistakes. I think there's a definite place for parents to control their children. But I love the transition between a child and an adult, the progression through adolescence as the young folk take more and more responsibility for themselves. And to me, as they take more and more responsibility for themselves, they can have more and more freedom of choice. But they've got to go hand in hand. You can't have more and more freedom without the responsibility. I know you know all this, but I'm just rehearsing it for my head's sake. My next point, freedom of choice. To me, freedom is something that should allow me to choose who I associate with, who I align with. And to me, that's a very, very important part of life, being able to intelligently, carefully, prayerfully consider who I should do life with and who I should partner up with. Secondly, under freedom of choice, freedom to choose what to spend my money on. And anything that comes across as controlling what I spend my money on, by whatever means, I regard that as an infringement of my freedom. And thirdly, freedom to go where I want, when I want. And I don't mean that in a terribly selfish sense, but a freedom simply to put others first and to go where I need to go and where I would like to go for the sake of others, without having to look over my shoulder to see if I'm being watched. So finally, let's take a stock take of how free we are. When the armed forces in various world wars and other conflicts fought for freedom, I think they were fighting for physical, actual freedom, as in where to go, where to live, freedom from being in jail or imprisoned, freedom from being persecuted or tortured or killed. Yeah, all very, very important. But today I think there's far more of a concern because of the psychological controls come on us, and how free are we from psychological controls coming? And let me give you and conclude with this example of the electric car. Today I was standing waiting for a bus powered by diesel, and I was watching the number of electric cars passing me on the road. And yes, Tesla obviously probably has more than any other, but I noticed more and more cars are coming with more and more brands are coming with the electric version. And I was looking at these brands, all of whom must have gone into huge expense to manufacture these and design and build these electric cars. That must be hugely expensive. I wonder who's paying for that. These cars that you can buy in 5 to 10 years' time are only electric. That is a restriction on our choice. That's a restriction that we actually had no control over. And I'm just wondering what actually is driving the agenda of choice, that it has so captured the manufacturing industry of cars, the design of cars, and the restriction of our choice. I don't recall going to a poll and agreeing that electric cars are the way of the future. Somebody else has made that choice for me. So I use that as an illustration of psychological control, and do I want to be under it? Anyway, there's my little thought on free will. How free are we? have a good day and enjoy your freedom. Bye for now.